Again, great to see you folks. Hope everything is going well, that things are fun and summertime. And you know, we recently had our Easter story, and through the magic of time, time passes. Now we are whipped around the whole, from the very end of the Bible, we're whipped back over to the very opening part of the Bible, because now we are going to have the creation of the world. Now we are starting on chapter 1 over again. And so if you have got this Sparks Bible, it starts on page 7. It's going to be pretty easy to find in all of these. It's the start of the book, all right? But then, you know, I usually have my own book. I happen to really like the pictures in the Beginner's Bible, which is our usual Sunday school Bible. I really like the pictures in this one. And this is the creation story about God creating the world. And you know, in the very beginning, there was a big old shapeless mass of total dark. There was no light or dark. There was no up or down. It was amazing. But God had a plan. He had an idea of something that I could be doing something with that great. Who knows what the shape was? Total black. So he started out. He separated the light from the dark, and he called the light day, and the dark was night. That looks like an eclipse, doesn't it? That looks exactly like when the moon covers up the sun, right? And so the very first day, he created day and night. And then on the second day, working his way down his plan, he separated the water that was in the clouds and made it go down, and made an ocean. And so he had the ocean here, and that space that had been full of water-packed clouds, he called that place the sky. So the sky was above the water, and it was all good, wasn't it? And then the next day, of course, we have to remember, I'm going to maybe remind us every time I say the next day, these were God's days. They're not like our tick-tock, 24-hour days. These were God's day. Who knows how long a minute is to God? We have a beautiful line in a hymn that a moment there is like 10,000 years for us. So God's days were very long and full of things. And so the third day was God rolled back the waters and made land. Well, it's a simple thing to say, but if you think about how complicated all the dirt and rock places are in the world, the hills, the valleys, the ridges, the Grand Canyon, Moab, Utah, with all the amazing rock formations, the Sahara Desert, everything. And then, of course, when all that dirt was made, then there were plants began to grow on it. And so also you think, how many plants there are in the world? It was just, how can all this happen on a bazillion different things? And so that was day 3. And then on day 4, he put some very beautiful lights up in the world, up in the sky. On that next day, that 4th day, he put the lights up in the sky. And of course, the big light that we have in the day is called the what? Yes, indeed, the sun. And the bright light we have at night is called, again, the moon, yes. And then the sparkle lights all around are the stars. And then, of course, there were all those planets and all that going on. And this is an immense project that God had, wasn't it? All right. And then on the 5th day, he made all the creatures that fly in the air. And we're talking about, I don't even know how many different kinds of birds and bats and things that fly are, and bugs, buzzy things, all those things. And then all the things that flip and flop and squirm through the water. he made those on the 5th day, yes. And then the 6th day, he made all the things that live on land. I mean, the elephants and kangaroosies and chimpanzees and sneaky slimy snakes and all those things that live on the earth, on the ground. Because here we have the swimming things and the flying things, and now we've got the things that live on the ground, on the land. And then God wanted to make a person like he is. And so he made the most amazing creation of all, which was a person, a human person. And he chose to make a man. His name was Adam. Adam was the name of the very first human person that there was, and which was just an amazing thing. But it didn't take Adam long to get sort of lonesome. And he said, God, I'm really sort of lonesome. Not that the elephants and kangaroosies are not amazing friends to have. Yes, indeed they are. I would like my very own friend, please. And so God made the first woman, and her name was Eve. So Adam and Eve were the first two people. And God put them in charge of naming everything that lives on the earth. Everything. Flies, swims, flip-flops, squirms around, whatever. Adam and Eve were going to be in charge of giving them all names. And I bet they made some of those names up, because nobody had ever seen a kangaroo or an elephant or a giraffe or a zebra. Nobody had seen those before. They hadn't been before that day. And then he made them an especially wonderful place that was called the Garden of Eden. And it was their own special place to be in charge of. And so it was an amazing world that God had made. And then the 7th day, because we only got 6 days, the 7th day, you know what God did? God took a wonderful rest. He had earned a good rest, hadn't he? And you know, we still have sort of that kind of pattern for how our week calendars run. You know, people go to work and they work hard all week long, and sometimes they work really hard on Saturdays, so those are 6 days. And then the 7th day, which is our Sunday, it's sort of our day of rest, isn't it? We come to church, especially on Sunday, to thank God for all the wonderful things that have happened and ask him help for things we're having problems with. And that's our day of rest also. Just like, I don't know that God took a nap. Maybe he did. Maybe when he snored. Do you suppose that was the invention of thunder? I don't think so. Anyway, that was when God invented the world. And now we've got some activities for this. And some of them, you know, one of them is this one of the kids playing. And of course the message on this is that when we're out enjoying God's world, just like we are today, how beautiful and wonderful it is. When we're enjoying things, we remember to thank God for all he has done for us. And then another good fun coloring picture, finding lots of things hidden in this picture. And then what we would do if we were having, I'm just going to say, real Sunday school together. This would be the day we would get out. There would have been a plastic tablecloth on the table, which we know means there's going to be a good fun, because that means we're going to make a mess. And we would have had the shoe boxes out, and I may well have already cut part of them away to make what we call a diorama, which is a little display thing here. And usually I have painted the diorama boxes. And this, I'm just leaving those pictures taped in there, because the really fun thing about dioramas is that it is making Play-Doh. Because I think what our wonderful activity for today's Sunday school would be, if you've been in charge of one of those days, you pick whatever day it was, what would you have made? You have got tremendously wonderful ideas. And nobody will ever have seen what's getting made, because it didn't even exist before you made it. Just like till God made a kangaroo, nobody had ever seen a kangaroo before. Maybe it turned out the way he meant to, maybe not. Some of the animals look sort of strange to us, and maybe they didn't turn out just like he thought they were going to, and then he tried it again, made another one. Oh, you mean so the original zebra was just a painting experiment? It was going to be a horse? I don't know. But nonetheless, what is you're going to be having are the directions for how to make Play-Doh, and so that somebody in your house will be able to print that off for recipes for how to make Play-Doh. I personally think it's one of the most fun things in the world to be messing around with. And now my idea for coloring the Play-Doh, if you don't put color in it, there's nothing wrong with it. It'll work just like regular Play-Doh, and it will look sort of like you know what biscuits look like, a bread. Like, it'll look more like a piece of bread. It'll just be sort of a creamy nothing. And you don't have to color the Play-Doh, because you could go ahead and make your creatures or flowers or whatever it is you wanted to make out of the Play-Doh. Make it out of that plain no color Play-Doh, and then you could paint them. I don't know if magic markers would work for that or not. I don't know if watercolors could work, but I use, for us in Sunday school, you know, I use a lot of tempera paint, which I just buy usually at Walmart. Actually, it's where I buy it. And it's water-based. You can wash it off, doesn't stain. For anybody who's really setting this up, this is going to be a terrific out in the yard under a shade tree kind of activity, because if there's spillage, there's spillage. If there are crumbles and crumbs, there are crumbles and crumbs. And that's, if we're inside, then we have to have our plastic tablecloth, because then we gather it all up, shake it out in the yard, rinse it off. It's good to go for the next time. But when you're making the Play-Doh, you can just put a squirt of tempera color paint in it, and it makes beautiful colors of Play-Doh. And in the recipes, it'll say, you know, put in the water and the paint. Well, you squirt the paint into the water when you're doing the measuring, so you don't come out with 3x big glugs of liquid, and the Play-Doh is too sticky. But nonetheless, so you can make your Play-Doh creatures, whether you're going to make flowers, maybe you want to make butterflies. You could use anything. You've got all of outdoors to be doing this. What a treat that is. And then you can make your Garden of Eden in here, whether you want it all creatures, you want it all flowers, you want to do all snakes. It's up to you. All right? So it's going to be a great and joyous thing that you can create. Maybe you'd want to figure out, well, if God would have had 8 days, I wonder what he could have made. I don't know. But we won't know until you do your wonderful ideas with it. And so this creation story is all about making things. God made the world for us, and he did a very, very, very good job of it. And we thank him always for that, don't we? Doing his good job. And of course, this one, I've got pictures in it. Mrs. Hendee just needs to keep telling you things, is that you can draw pictures and put them around in here. I have found over the years, tempera paint doesn't do a really very good job of sticking to the shiny sort of paint paper things on the outside of shoe boxes. And actually what I ended up thinking is that spray paints from the hardware store, which are not for us to use without an immense amount of supervision, because they will stick, they won't come off. It takes nasty chemicals to clean them off, so be careful if you're being with, but tempera paints, oh, they're wonderful fun. All right, okay, are we ready to fold our hands and thank God for what he's doing us, and thank you for that well-spent week that he had doing all those things, a different amazing set of miracles for every day. All right, so let's fold our hands. God our Father, God our Father, we thank you for our many blessings, for our many blessings. Amen, amen. Goodbye, loves. Have the best creative, wonderful word. Oh, it's going to be so exciting to hear what you're able to make on Creation Week. All right, bye-bye.